Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. Hey, we are moving on today in Genesis. We're actually in chapter 2. We took a while to get going here. It spent quite a bit of time in chapter 1. And as we get going through chapter 2, you're going to see we're going to kind of pick up the pace quite a bit. We're actually going through the whole of chapter 2 today. And this is talking today about Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden, okay? And this is taken from Genesis 2, verses 4 through 25. You're going to see, we talked about, Genesis chapter 1, that first verse, God created the heavens and the earth, is the overview of creation. And then God gets more specific into what he created, the 6 days of creation and then resting on the seventh day. He's specific about what he created, but not too specific, okay? He'll say, he created the sky and he created the plants. He doesn't tell me what kind of plants he created and all that stuff, okay? But he gives that generality, and then on the sixth day, it says he made the animals, and then he made man and woman, okay? And that's all we know. We're like, oh, that doesn't sound very much information here. But chapter 2, he's going to talk all about Adam and Eve and then where they were to live and so forth like that. So he spends all of chapter 2 talking about that. So he gets very specific about Adam and Eve, the first man and the first woman. And it's because God has a relationship with us, okay? We are made in his image, okay? The cow is not made in the image of God, so God is not going to communicate his relationship with the cow and how the cow was where the cow was living and how he made the cow and all that. Okay, he just says, I made the animals. All right. But he gets very more specific here about Adam and Eve and where they were to live. So let's read here today. If you have your Bibles, it's Genesis 2. We're going to start at verse 4 and go to verse 25, which is the end of the chapter. It says this is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, and when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. But streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Okay, a lot is said right there in just that passage. That it wasn't raining at that time. We had talked about that in a past episode, that it didn't start raining till Noah, said it was going to rain, and then it rained for 40 days. So the water just came from the ground and watered everything. And then it tells how God created man, and he made him from dust. Okay, and that's why we say from dust to dust. And the funny thing is, when I die, I'm buried, and it's just all dust. I turn back to the earth, really. Even if it's cremated, it's the same way. Okay? Let's move on here. Verse 8. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Then a river watered the garden, and it flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. The name of the first is Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there's gold. The gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and onyx are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It winds through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris. It runs along the east side of the Asher. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Okay. Naturally, this Euphrates, I doubt, is the same Euphrates you have today, because everything would have been all changed up when the flood happened. Okay. And unless Noah goes, oh yeah, the Euphrates was over there. And I remember, that's where it is now. How about that? So naturally, these, you'd be hard-pressed to be able to locate this, okay? Verse 15, the Lord God took man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds of the sky, and he brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So the man gave names to all the livestock and the birds of the sky and all the wild animals. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. Okay, key verse there, a big verse. No suitable helper was found. Okay, so you can go, oh, my dog is it's man's best friend. Okay, a dog does not replace a woman. All right. Verse 21. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. Okay. Now, again, God created everything just out of nothing. Okay, all the animals and everything else. But here he takes a rib out of man to make this woman in the likeness of man. Okay. And man he created from the dust of the earth. So it's just pretty interesting there how he did that. And naturally he would have had to create. He didn't go, oh, here's a rib, and it's just going to evolve into a woman. That wasn't what happened. The man said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. Okay, they were in the Garden of Eden where everything was perfect. There was no sin at that place. Okay, a big verse 24. Let me read that again. That is why the man leaves his father and mother, and he is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. That's a verse that we, when we do weddings, all the time, we refer back to that. You leave your father and your mother, and you become one with your wife. With that, okay? So this kind of gives you a background on Adam and Eve and us, because Genesis, remember, is the beginning, and so you have to understand this in order to understand the rest of the Bible, okay? And even chapter 3, you're going to go, well, what's the point in chapter 3? Well, that talks about the fall of man, and so that's hugely important as to why we believe and do the things that we do today, all right? So anyway, this is all building blocks onto the rest of the Bible. Thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we jump into chapter 3 of the book of Genesis. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.